Hey, I'm Adam Nitti, and today I wanted to talk about helping players to develop their internal sense of time and groove. Traditionally, the way we teach students or teach ourselves to play accurate time is work with some sort of an external clock source like a metronome or a drum machine. And those are fantastic things to do. I believe it's absolutely necessary, especially for beginning players. But there comes a point at which a player, if they're going to really develop a great sense of time, they have to essentially wean themselves away from the dependency on the external time source. And that is where the development of the internal clock comes into play. So what I've done here is I've taken a couple of very simple exercises. Both are using metronome click for 16 measures. And I've set up little mute points within them to allow a player to get used to the feeling of playing without the time source, but it's only for a small amount of time. So the concept is based on the ideas that the player can set themselves up, align with the time coming from the metronome, but then when there's a dropout, they have to rely on their own internal clock to stay in time so that when the timing source comes back in, hopefully they are right on it. So this first of the two exercises has the metronome click going for 16 measures, but what I've done is I've taken out every fourth measure and I've replaced it with silence. So the player will be able to play along with the metronome for 3 measures at a time, and then they'll be on their own for 1 measure. 2, 3, and... As you can see, what I did there was I took a basic bass line that I mostly just kind of repeated over and over again. But with each of these exercises, what I'm doing is I'm trying to demonstrate how you could push yourself to step outside of your comfort zone a little more. If you're playing a fill or if you're doing something more intricate during that muted metronome time, that's a real test of how well you're internalizing, because a lot of players will either have a tendency to push forward and rush or to drag behind. So it's a great litmus test for that. The second exercise uses the same 16 measure phrase of the metronome, but what I've done with this one is I've placed the mutes in random locations. So the mutes now are going to be random lengths and happening on random beats within each measure. And this, of course, is going to create a greater level of challenge and take away any of the predictability that you had from having the mute on the same measure every time. So this is an example of what that might sound like. 2, 3, and... So there you go, 2 very simple exercises that can be expanded using a drum machine instead, if you like, or another form of subdivision for the metronome. I'm going to leave that up to you. But I hope you at least were able to see the value of how a simple transition exercise like this could help a player to improve their internal clock and hopefully ultimately have a really confident sense of time. Thanks for checking out this video, and we'll see you in the next one.